Dust and blood choked the air. Two titans, worlds apart, converged on a vast plain, history trembling. For a brief moment, the mightiest empire on earth faced its end. Fleeing before an unknown storm, this was the impossible victory. But how could a young king from Macedon achieve such an improbable triumph? Against a power so immense, the very idea of conquest seemed utterly insane. The gates of despair loomed. For centuries, one name echoed across 3 continents: Persia, an empire of unparalleled wealth and might. From the Aegean to the Indus, countless cultures thrived within its borders, a mosaic of power, seemingly eternal. Its treasures were legendary, its administration sophisticated, its influence vast. It was the superpower of the ancient world. At its heart stood the great king, Darius III, ruler of an empire defended by legions of formidable warriors. An army so vast, it was said to drink rivers dry. Its numbers alone were a terrifying, insurmountable force. With command of the seas and control of vital trade routes, Persia's dominance was absolute, its reach undeniable. To challenge this colossus was to invite annihilation. No lesser power had ever truly threatened its core. Yet, from a rugged, northern kingdom, a young king dared to dream the impossible. His name, Alexander. Barely into his 20s, he inherited a powerful army, but one dwarfed by the might of his formidable foe. His small kingdom, a fraction of Persia's dominion, held meager resources compared to the eastern giant. While Macedon forged elite warriors, Persia commanded limitless manpower. The sheer numerical disparity was staggering. How could a relatively small force, however disciplined, hope to overcome such overwhelming, seemingly unstoppable power? This was not just a war of conquest. It was an audacity against all known logic and military convention. The stakes were monumental. The fate of the known world hung precariously in the balance. Failure meant oblivion. Why would Alexander embark on such a perilous, seemingly suicidal campaign against the greatest empire ever known? This channel explores the why, the how, and the what-if of history's most epic confrontations. Prepare for an unparalleled military saga, a deep dive into Alexander's genius and Persia's desperate, valiant resistance. Join us as we unravel the extraordinary story of how Alexander defied all odds, conquering the invincible Persian Empire. Ancient Earth, a tapestry of nascent empires and warring kingdoms. 2 vastly different worlds were hurtling towards an inevitable confrontation. To the north, Macedon, a rugged, often overlooked kingdom, regarded by its southern neighbors as a land of barbarians. Then, Philip II ascended the throne, a man of formidable intellect and ruthless ambition. He envisioned a new Macedonian destiny. Philip revolutionized warfare, forging the deadliest fighting machine of its age, the Macedonian phalanx, bristling with sarissas. Rigorous training honed raw recruits into an unbreakable force. Discipline, tactics, and iron will transformed Macedon's army. Through strategic diplomacy and decisive conquest, Philip expanded his kingdom, dominating neighboring tribes and solidifying his power. Macedon was no longer a backwater. Philip had forged an unparalleled military machine, poised for something far greater. Into this transformed kingdom, Alexander was born. Raised amidst war and ambition, he was heir to a new, formidable legacy. Taught by Aristotle, tempered by his father's campaigns, Alexander's genius was meticulously cultivated, preparing him for destiny. Macedon now stood as a regional hegemon, an ascendant power in the Greek world, eyeing larger ambitions beyond its borders. But across the Aegean, another world reigned supreme. The colossal, ancient Achaemenid Persian Empire, an undisputed superpower. From the Indus to the Nile, from the Caspian to the Aegean, Persia spanned 3 continents, an empire of unparalleled scale. Its legacy stretched back centuries, built by titans like Cyrus the Great and Darius I, founders of a golden age. Unimaginable wealth flowed into its coffers. Gold, silver, and precious commodities adorned its palaces, fueling its power. Persepolis and Susa, magnificent capitals, stood as testament to imperial grandeur, echoing the empire's boundless resources. Hundreds of diverse cultures thrived under the great king's rule, a melting pot of languages, traditions, and civilizations. Monumental architecture, intricate carvings, and sophisticated art showcased Persia's cultural zenith, unparalleled in the ancient world. A vast administrative network, divided into satrapies, ensured control over distant lands, a marvel of ancient governance. The legendary Royal Road facilitated rapid communication and trade, binding the colossal empire together with threads of power. Guarding the great king stood the immortals, an elite, fearsome guard, symbols of Persia's military might and prestige. While often depicted as decadent, the Persian army was immense, comprising forces from every corner of its vast dominion. Two worlds, two destinies. Macedon's ruthless ambition clashed with Persia's established, ancient, and immensely powerful order. The perceived power imbalance was colossal, a seemingly insignificant upstart challenging the world's undisputed imperial master. Yet, beneath the surface, ancient animosity festered. Memories of Persian invasions fueled Greek resentment and calls for revenge. The ghosts of Marathon and Thermopylae lingered. Greeks yearned for retribution against the empire that once threatened their very freedom. For Macedon, Persia represented not just an enemy, but a treasure trove, a decadent empire ripe for conquest and glory. To Persia, Macedon was a distant barbarian kingdom, a minor nuisance, hardly a threat to its sprawling ancient dominion. Despite their contrasting views, the stage was set. These two titans were on an inevitable collision course, irreversible. This was more than just a war of empires. It was a clash of civilizations, a fight for global supremacy. All these threads, spun across decades, converged upon one man. The world awaited Alexander, and the epic conquest to come. From the cradle, a legend began. Alexander, Prince of Macedon, was destined for greatness. He inherited a kingdom of formidable warriors and a legacy steeped in strategic brilliance. Under Aristotle's tutelage, Alexander's mind sharpened, mastering philosophy, science, and the art of war. He absorbed knowledge like a sponge, transforming abstract ideas into concrete military applications. Beyond intellect, physical prowess and relentless discipline forged his unwavering resolve and leadership. Philip II, the architect of Macedonian might, bequeathed his son an unstoppable military machine. From Philip, Alexander learned tactical genius, combined arms, deception, and overwhelming force. The blueprint for empire was drawn by Philip, executed with unparalleled audacity by Alexander. Central to Macedonian innovation was the sarissa phalanx, a weapon of devastating offensive power. These 18-foot pikes created an unyielding hedge, shattering enemy formations with brutal efficiency. Combined with elite cavalry, the phalanx became the anvil to the cavalry's hammer, crushing all opposition. Macedonian engineering and rigorous training ensured every soldier was a formidable, disciplined fighter. Alexander's early campaigns, under his father, were his proving ground, forging a reputation for daring. He earned respect and loyalty on the battlefield, demonstrating courage, tactical insight, and relentless drive. Upon Philip's death, Alexander swiftly consolidated power, silencing dissent with decisive, ruthless action. But Alexander's ambition reached far beyond Macedon, fueled by deeper, more profound motivations. For generations, Persia had ravaged Greek lands, leaving a bitter legacy of destruction and subjugation. The memory of Persian invasions, especially Xerxes' sacrilege, burned brightly in the Greek psyche. Alexander saw himself as the avenger of Hellenic grievances, chosen to right ancient wrongs. He masterfully exploited this sentiment, presenting his invasion as a pan-Hellenic crusade. Beyond vengeance, Alexander harbored a monumental vision to unite the fractured Hellenic world. He dreamed of a common Hellenic identity, transcending petty rivalries under his unifying leadership. His invasion was not merely conquest, it was an ambitious project to forge a unified Greek destiny. This was the impossible invasion, to challenge an empire spanning 3 continents with a relatively small army. The Persian Empire, a colossal entity, seemed invincible, its resources limitless, its reach absolute. But Alexander possessed something more potent, an unshakable belief in his own genius and destiny. His strategic objectives were clear: to dismantle Persian power and establish Greek dominance forever. This grand vision, fueled by ambition and ancient grievances, propelled him towards an epic confrontation. He stood on the precipice of history, ready to defy all expectations and reshape the ancient world. This was Alexander's inheritance, his vision, and the unstoppable force he unleashed upon the Persian Empire. Before legends are forged, a precipice awaits. Alexander stands on the edge of the known world. Across the narrow Hellespont, Asia beckoned. A vast empire, seemingly unconquerable, lay in wait. Thousands of Macedonians, a formidable force, prepared to embark upon history's greatest conquest. Under the rising sun, the fleet surged forward, carrying Alexander's audacious dream across the strait. He was no mere conqueror, he was a liberator, destined to reshape the very fabric of civilization. With an unwavering gaze, Alexander disembarked, planting his feet firmly on the shores of Asia. Then, a powerful gesture that echoed through time. His spear, a symbol of conquest, its sword, a gleaming arrow of defiance, piercing the vast, uncharted Asian earth. The land was claimed. This was no mere invasion. It was a declaration of total war. He proclaimed Asia his by right of conquest, igniting a war that would redefine empires. Behind him, an army, hardened by discipline and loyalty, prepared for the monumental challenges ahead. The march into the heart of Persia had begun. No turning back, only forward into legend. Vigilant scouts fanned out, their eyes scanning the horizons for any sign of Persian resistance. Initial skirmishes were swift, bloody affairs. Alexander's forces met and crushed all local opposition. First blood had been drawn, a grim prelude to the epic struggle that awaited them. The land was alien, but the ambition was familiar. Alexander's resolve burned brighter than ever. Word of the invasion spread, reaching the ears of the powerful Persian satraps guarding Asia Minor. At the Granicus, the Persian satraps assembled their mighty armies, determined to repel the invader. They underestimated Alexander, seeing him as a rash youth, a fatal misjudgment for the empire. Tens of thousands of Persian cavalry and infantry lined the river, a formidable, impenetrable wall. The Granicus River became their fortress, its treacherous currents amplifying the Persian defenses. Alexander surveyed the scene, his tactical genius already calculating the enemy's strengths and weaknesses. Parmenion urged caution, advocating for a delayed attack. But Alexander saw an immediate opportunity. He would not wait. Alexander chose audacity, a direct frontal assault against overwhelming odds. The legendary companion cavalry, Alexander's elite, prepared for their most daring charge yet. With a thunderous roar, Alexander himself spearheaded the attack, plunging into the Granicus's depths. Water sprayed, hooves churned, as the Macedonians pushed forward, ignoring the treacherous river defenses. The initial clash was brutal, a desperate struggle for every inch of contested riverbank ground. Alexander fought like a god, his life constantly imperiled, inspiring his men through sheer courage. The Persians fought fiercely, pushing back, determined to throw the invaders back into the river. But behind the cavalry's fury, the immovable Macedonian phalanx advanced, a wall of bristling pikes. Slowly, relentlessly, the phalanx established its foothold, their sarissas ready to unleash devastation. The devastating reach of the sarissa tore through Persian ranks, creating gaps for the cavalry to exploit. With the phalanx securing the center, Alexander's cavalry executed a brilliant flanking maneuver. Caught between the cavalry's hammer and the phalanx's anvil, Persian resistance began to shatter. Panic spread through the Persian lines. Their famed cavalry, once formidable, was now in disarray. The retreat became a rout, a desperate scramble for survival as Alexander's forces pressed their advantage. The Granicus ran red, a stark monument to Alexander's first major victory on Asian soil. He stood victorious, but the cost was evident. War demanded everything, even from its greatest generals. This was no mere brute force. This was tactical brilliance, an innovative approach unseen before. The immediate aftermath, consolidation, tending to the fallen, and preparing for the next relentless advance. His audacity against a numerically superior foe instantly established his genius as a military commander. The gates of Asia had been breached. The legend of Alexander the Unstoppable was now truly born. Granicus was but the first test. The heart of the Persian Empire awaited its inevitable reckoning. Alexander's Macedonian war machine pushed relentlessly eastward, carving a path through the heart of the Persian Empire. Each conquered city, each strategic point secured, strengthened his grip and fueled the legend building around him. Consolidating gains, Alexander meticulously prepared his advance. He understood logistics were as crucial as blades. City by city his presence grew. The myth of the unconquerable Macedonian king solidified with every victory. Through lands steeped in history, where empires rose and fell, Alexander pressed onward, defying all expectations. The relentless march continued, a force of nature driven by an unyielding will to conquer and dominate. In the ancient Phrygian capital of Gordium lay a challenge, not of war, but of legend. The legendary Gordian knot, an ancient prophecy claimed whoever could untie it would rule all Asia. Alexander arrived, not with the awe of a pilgrim, but with the pragmatic gaze of a conqueror. He observed its impossible complexity. The legend demanded not strength, but perhaps a different kind of insight. Then, with a sudden, audacious movement, Alexander drew his sword, ready to redefine the challenge. One swift, decisive stroke. The Gordian knot was severed, the ancient prophecy dramatically fulfilled, transformed. He had not untied it. He had cut through its core, declaring a new era of direct action. The act resonated across Asia, cementing his divine favor and destiny to rule, unsettling his foes. News of the Gordian knot spread like wildfire, amplifying Alexander's mystique and striking fear into Darius. With destiny seemingly on his side, Alexander turned his gaze south, towards the fertile plains of Cilicia. His strategic path aimed to secure vital coastal routes, cutting off Persian naval power and supply lines. Meanwhile, Darius III, Emperor of Persia, mustered an immense army, determined to crush the Macedonian invader. This was no mere skirmish. Darius brought the full might of his empire to bear against Alexander. Darius, confident in his numbers, sought a decisive engagement, believing sheer force would overwhelm Alexander. Unbeknownst to them, both colossal forces were moving dangerously close, separated only by the Amanus Mountains. Alexander, ever the strategist, advanced through the narrow coastal pass known as the Syrian Gates. Darius, seeking to cut Alexander's supply lines, marched through the Pinarus River Valley west of Amanus. A monumental miscalculation, a geographical twist of fate, would soon force the ultimate confrontation at Issus. The terrain at Issus was a natural choke point, a narrow coastal plain bordered by mountains and sea. Alexander immediately grasped the tactical implications. The narrow ground would negate Persian numerical superiority. His phalanx formed an impenetrable shield in the center, flanked by elite cavalry, poised for a decisive charge. The sarissa-wielding phalanx, disciplined and deadly, stood ready to meet the vast, oncoming Persian host. Alexander rode among his men, a living embodiment of courage, steeling them for the monumental clash ahead. Across the Pinarus River, the Persian army stretched for miles, a glittering array of diverse forces. Darius, from his royal chariot, observed his legions, supremely confident in the sheer weight of his numbers. His plan: overwhelm the Macedonians through sheer force. But the terrain became his unexpected, formidable foe. The battle began with a brutal clash along the Pinarus, as Alexander's disciplined lines advanced relentlessly. Steel met steel, shields locked, the air filled with the roar of men, the clang of war. Alexander executed his audacious plan, a lightning charge with his elite companion cavalry, targeting Darius himself. Through the river and into the heart of the enemy, Alexander led his cavalry with unparalleled ferocity. This audacious maneuver exploited the cramped Persian lines, creating a critical breach on their weakened left flank. While Alexander surged, the Macedonian left flank fought desperately against overwhelming Persian numbers, holding their ground. Alexander, a whirlwind of steel and courage, drove directly towards the Persian royal chariot, a king's target. The ultimate prize lay just ahead. The great king Darius III, vulnerable in the heart of his army. A desperate melee erupted around Darius's chariot. Immortals fought valiantly, but Alexander's charge was unstoppable. Faced with Alexander's furious assault, Darius's nerve broke. He famously turned his royal chariot and fled. The king's flight signaled total collapse. The vast Persian army dissolved into a panicked, desperate rout. Alexander had achieved the impossible. He had confronted and defeated the mightiest empire on earth. Issus was his. Alexander's unstoppable march now faced its ultimate test. The formidable island fortress of Tyre, a city seemingly impregnable. Controlling Tyre was crucial for Alexander. Its naval power threatened his supply lines and coastal flank. Refusing passage, Tyre underestimated Alexander's relentless will. He would not bypass this strategic stronghold. The city was a maritime titan, its defenses legendary. A frontal assault seemed an impossible, suicidal endeavor. Alexander's genius shone through his solution. Build a causeway, an artificial land bridge across the sea. Millions of tons of stone, earth, and timber were poured into the sea, battling currents and depths. Day and night, Macedonians toiled. This was not just a siege, it was a monumental feat of ancient engineering. The Tyrians launched relentless counterattacks, burning siege equipment, their fleet dominating the waters. Alexander himself often supervised, inspiring his men through sheer presence and unyielding determination. Realizing the need for naval superiority, Alexander quickly assembled his own formidable fleet from allied cities. With a powerful navy now at his command, the tide turned. Tyre's dominance of the sea was broken. Fierce naval engagements ensued. Alexander's fleet systematically dismantled Tyre's formidable sea power. Massive siege towers, some over 160 feet tall, were mounted on ships, defying Tyre's legendary defenses. Relentless bombardment began. Battering rams pounded the stone, seeking weak points in the ancient fortifications. Finally, after 7 grueling months, the walls breached. Alexander's tenacity had carved an opening. The assault was swift and merciless. Macedonian phalanxes poured into the city, overwhelming its desperate defenders. Tyre fell, a testament to Alexander's engineering genius and brutal resolve. His legend grew with every conquest. The path eastward was now clear, but the greatest challenge, Darius and his grand empire, still awaited. With Tyre secured, Alexander pushed deeper into the heart of the Persian Empire, seeking a final confrontation. Darius, learning from past defeats, was preparing. He sought an open battlefield to unleash his colossal forces. This would be the empire's last stand. Darius had assembled the largest army the ancient world had ever witnessed. He chose the plains of Gaugamela, near modern-day Mosul, to maximize his numerical superiority and deploy new weapons. On the eve of battle, Alexander refused night attacks. He needed daylight to execute his complex strategic plan. October 1st, 331 BC. The sun rose on Gaugamela, illuminating 2 titans poised for the ultimate clash. Darius commanded an army of perhaps 250,000 men, dwarfing Alexander's estimated 47,000 Macedonians. Macedonian discipline and leadership would face the ultimate test against overwhelming Persian numbers. Alexander, astride Persepolis, scanned the enemy lines, his eyes calculating every detail of the coming fight. His revolutionary strategy, the hammer and anvil, a deceptive move designed to create a fatal opening. Darius deployed formidable cavalry wings, ready to envelop, and 200 scythed chariots, designed for devastating charges. These monstrous war machines, with razor-sharp blades, were intended to shatter the Macedonian phalanx. Alexander began his audacious maneuver, advancing obliquely to the right, daring Darius to react. Darius's left flank, led by Bessus, stretched to prevent Alexander from leaving the prepared, cleared ground. The moment of truth. Darius unleashed his scythed chariots, A terrifying wave aimed at the Macedonian lines, but Alexander had a counter. The phalanx opened, creating channels, drawing the chariots into a deadly trap. Archers and javelin men rained down fire. The chariots, entangled and broken, posed no threat. Darius's pursuit of Alexander's right flank had created a critical, exposed gap in his own center. This was Alexander's moment. He saw the breach, the ultimate weakness in the heart of the enemy. Like a bolt of lightning, Alexander's companions, the hammer, struck the exposed Persian core. Chaos erupted. Darius, witnessing his central command shattered, made a desperate, fateful decision. Darius fled. The great king, for the third time, abandoned his army, demoralizing his vast forces. With their king gone, the Persian lines dissolved into a panicked, headlong retreat, the empire's will broken. On the left, Parmenian's phalanx was heavily engaged. Alexander, though victorious, raced to support them. Alexander's cavalry cut down fleeing Persians, turning the decisive victory into a catastrophic rout for the empire. Gaugamela, the greatest battle of the ancient world. Alexander's genius had shattered an empire. After years of relentless campaigning, Alexander's Macedonian phalanx stood at the gates of Persepolis, the empire's heart. Before them lay Persepolis, the jewel of Persia, a city of unimaginable splendor and ancient power. Through towering gates they marched, Macedonian boots treading upon hallowed ground, the very seat of Persian kings. Within, unimaginable wealth awaited, mountains of gold, precious jewels, and centuries of accumulated Persian grandeur. Alexander surveyed his prize, the culmination of a decade's conquest. Yet, a new dawn beckoned. Then came the fateful decision, a symbolic act of revenge for Xerxes' sacrilege against Greece centuries past. A torch was lit, not merely an act of war, but a declaration against an empire's very soul. Flames erupted, licking at ancient stones, consuming monuments that had stood for 1,000 years. Persepolis, the magnificent heart of Persia, burned. Its fiery demise marked the end of an era. Dawn broke over smoking ruins. The ashes of Persepolis were a monument to conquest and new beginnings. The spoils of an empire, immeasurable riches, now funded Alexander's vision for a new, unified world. Victory brought new burdens. Governing an immense empire demanded more than just military genius. It required statesmanship. He sought to integrate, not merely dominate. Local satraps remained, now bound to Macedonian authority. The world pivoted. Persian dominance waned, giving way to a Hellenistic dawn across vast swathes of land. Alexander began adopting Persian customs, a controversial move, demonstrating respect and a desire for unity. His attempt at proskynesis, Persian reverence, met stiff resistance from his fiercely independent Macedonian companions. Persian soldiers, once foes, were now integrated into Alexander's army. A bold experiment in cultural fusion, he envisioned a new elite, bound by blood, a synthesis of East and West through strategic marriages. New cities arose, bearing his name, each a beacon of Hellenic culture, spreading Greek ideals far and wide. Greek language, philosophy, and art permeated distant lands, sowing the seeds of a new global civilization. Across Asia, Hellenistic architecture began to redefine landscapes, a lasting testament to Alexander's profound influence. He forged a new world, not just through conquest, but by uniting diverse peoples under a singular, ambitious vision. The Hellenistic age had begun, forever changing the course of history, a legacy echoing through millennia. Alexander's thunderous conquests reshaped the ancient world, but his greatest impact lay not in battles. His true legacy was a cultural tidal wave, forever altering the course of human history. From the Aegean to the Indus, Alexander's empire became a crucible of profound cultural fusion. Greek ideas, philosophies, and ways of life began to permeate diverse societies across vast lands. Koine Greek, the language of his empire, became the common tongue, uniting disparate peoples through communication. A new artistic synthesis emerged, blending Greek aesthetics with local traditions, leaving an indelible mark. This cultural bedrock laid the foundation for future empires, influencing Roman, Byzantine, and Islamic thought. Cities founded in his wake became centers of learning, trade, and innovation for centuries. Yet, even the greatest conquerors are mortal. Alexander's sudden death plunged his empire into chaos. Without his unifying force, the colossal edifice he built began to crumble almost immediately. His most powerful generals, the Diadochi, tore at the fabric of his legacy, each claiming dominion. Their brutal wars carved the empire into rival Hellenistic kingdoms, forever reshaping the political landscape. In Egypt, the Ptolemaic dynasty flourished, preserving Greek culture amidst ancient pharaonic traditions. The Seleucid Empire stretched across Asia, a vast but fragile domain, constantly battling for control. And in Macedon, the Antigonids struggled to maintain their ancestral homeland and influence. From his campaigns, military strategists learned invaluable lessons in combined arms and rapid maneuver. His innovative tactics, particularly the hammer and anvil, became blueprints for future military genius. Commanders for millennia, from Hannibal to Napoleon, studied Alexander's unparalleled military brilliance. Politically, his model of centralized authority and multicultural integration offered powerful, enduring lessons. The challenges of governing a diverse empire and the perils of succession became clear. Alexander's actions fundamentally reshaped the ancient world, connecting East and West like never before. His legacy echoed for millennia, a testament to ambition, conquest, and profound cultural transformation. The dream was unfinished, but the fire Alexander ignited forged an indelible new chapter for humanity. We conclude our epic journey into the mind of a conqueror whose unparalleled genius reshaped the ancient world. Alexander's strategic brilliance was unparalleled, outmaneuvering vastly superior Persian forces with audacious plans. His tactical mastery on the battlefield transformed impossible situations into decisive victories, proving his military acumen. He led from the front, inspiring fierce loyalty and unwavering courage in every single one of his soldiers. Alexander's audacity defied all odds, challenging an empire deemed unstoppable, forever altering historical trajectories. From Granicus to Gaugamela, his epic struggle against the Persian Empire forged legends and empires anew. His actions didn't just conquer, they forged a new Hellenistic era, blending cultures and civilizations across continents. Alexander left an indelible mark, his ghost echoing through millennia, influencing countless leaders and thinkers. Don't miss our next cinematic journey into history. Subscribe to a leading analysis channel for more. If you found Alexander's genius captivating, hit the like button. Your support fuels our historical explorations. Share your thoughts on Alexander's enduring legacy in the comments below. Join the spirited discussion. Join our community for future explorations of the most epic wars and greatest resistance movements. From the legions of Rome to the might of medieval empires, we'll uncover more epic conflicts. Witness the stories of great resistance, brilliant strategies, and the extraordinary people who shaped our world.